gorgeous, welcome back. I know it's been a little while, but I thought I'd do a bit of a catch-up video with you, and I've got, it's like a catch-up Q&A kind of video. I was going to do a mukbang, but the place where I wanted to get food from was closed, so I'm going to eat a big vegan raw brownie, answer some of your questions, and I've got my pajamas on, so nice and cozy vibes. If you want to feel like you're having a sleepover, like chill out sesh with me, put some pajamas on, maybe you can grab a brownie. I've got some kombucha. I know I haven't really been posting on YouTube in a little bit, so I thought I owed you a bit of a Q&A, bit of an update. I put the questions on my Instagram story, and if you're not following me on Instagram, my Instagram is HiVibeHustler. I'm also providing tarot and Reiki services again. I do have a separate Instagram for that as well, called Healing for Hustlers. I'm excited to be back. I do have more videos coming. I just needed a little bit of a break. Last year was a very intense year for me. Not really in a good way, but I did have some really good things happen last year as well, which I didn't expect. I do want to come back to YouTube properly. I want to start making more vlogs, and I'm going to be doing a few different things in my life as well. So stay tuned, see what I get up to, because I've got a few different things lined up. I am prioritizing the questions that I got asked on Patreon. I'm going to answer those questions first, and I'm going to answer the general questions that were on my Instagram story. Question number 1. Have you ever thought about being a strip club? Oh, this is there's a word that starts with M that I'm not gonna say. Have you ever thought about being a strip club manager / owner? I feel like almost every stripper at one point or another has. For sure. I definitely feel as though we all kind of have like a dream of owning our own strip club, and like we always think about and we always talk about like what we would do in our strip clubs. So it's definitely like I'm not very unique in the fact that I do want to own a strip club one day. Now if I would manage it, I think I'd just like own it and then try and like stay away from it. But yes, that is definitely something I have thought about. Do you still see yourself visiting or living in the US? I definitely see myself visiting. I love visiting the US. I know I've said before that I want to live in the US one day, but I'm not sure if, I don't know, I'm just kind of, last year I had a lot of my goals change, and I'm not gonna be too stressed if like I don't end up living in the States. I feel like I can live a pretty good life here in Australia, but I know that like wherever I end up, I'm gonna be in the right place, and I'm gonna be fine. So at the end of the day, like, yes, I love the US, but I don't know if like it's not my like burning desire to like go live there at this point in time, but I do love visiting the US, and I'm hoping to go see. How do you stay motivated and uplifted? Definitely gratitude makes me feel uplifted. Having a gratitude practice is very, very important to me. I always make sure that I write a gratitude list every single day of things that I'm grateful for, and making sure that when I receive things, I just cultivate that feeling of gratitude inside of me, and that makes me feel so like happy and so lucky, and that really uplifts me, and that really helps with my my mental state and my quality of life. So I would say gratitude, practicing gratitude, making sure that like you say thank you, and that you feel thankful every time you receive. And staying motivated, definitely just like focusing on my goals and not letting like the small stuff get in the way. Like even though I might be in a position right now where it looks like the things that I want to achieve aren't possible, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to happen. Goals definitely motivate me, and just reminding myself that just because things don't look like they're working out doesn't mean they aren't. Why did you stop YouTube? I got a lot of lovely questions like about YouTube. I stopped it because I just needed a break, and I wasn't putting, I was kind of vlogging because I felt like I had to, not because I wanted to, and that wasn't the kind of energy that I wanted to put out there. But now I really want to get back into YouTube. I'm really keen to get back into it, so that's why I'm back. And I'm at this point in time, like, I'm not holding myself to a schedule. I think that was one thing that really wore me out last time, was making sure, like, always having to have a video out like at a certain time and a certain day. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on myself. And it's also like I wasn't enjoying it when I felt like I had to do it, and that's not. I would rather put like good energy into a video and make one like when I felt good about it, rather than feeling like I have to do it all the time. Like quality over quantity. What is the most challenging part of the job? I would say for me it's like the emotional part of it, having to always like hold space and be there for people, and that's something that I love to do. But it, like, don't get me wrong, it does take, like, it does wear you out. And especially, it doesn't matter like what you have going on, you always have to like, you've always got to be like smile and be happy and be bubbly and be the party girl. And that can be very challenging, especially if it's like you don't even feel good, but you've got to use all of your energy to make someone else feel good instead. So I would say the most challenging part of the job is the emotional side of it. Okay, what goals are you working towards? Most of the goals that I have at the moment are financial goals, like the obvious, like buying a house, buying an investment property. I'm still kind of like trying to figure out what I want to do and what I want to achieve. But in my life, like I don't really have like a lot of like strict specific goals. I've always had a few like overarching goals that I want to achieve. I don't have like a whole heap of goals. Like I'm very like where life will take me, and I feel as though the like whole like goal like manifestation culture, it kind of takes away from like the magic of life and seeing like where life takes you and leaving it up to the universe. Because sometimes like what the universe has planned for us is way more exciting than what we want for ourselves. Like it's just, I just feel like it's a more exciting place to live. Don't get me wrong, it's a good idea, but like to have goals and be motivated, but my goals are always like shifting, they're always changing, and I find it really important to not like hold myself to them, if that makes sense. But I do have a few goals that I've always had, and that's like have an investment property, and I've always wanted to have a book published. They're my two big goals that I've always had like pretty much my whole life. So I'll always be working towards them in one regard or the other, but I hope that answers the question. Okay, how is Perth life going? Perth life is going good. I love the lifestyle in Perth. It's just such a shame that it's so far away from everywhere, and it's a lot to travel. Like flying over to the East Coast it's not a short flight, I'll say that. I can't remember how long the flight to Melbourne is. I think it's like 4 hours, and then like longer on the way home. It's so frustrating because I love living in Perth and I feel like I've got everything I need here, but it's just so far away from everything. The only thing is like I wish the vegan food in Perth was a bit better, but then again, like it's kind of good because then I'm not going out and spending all my money on food, because that's something that I tend to do. So like a blessing and a curse at the same time. So I'm not too I'm not too fast. And do you think you'll stay living in Perth? I want to stay living in Perth. I'm really happy here. I feel like I'm meant to be here, and even though like I might be traveling for work, I still enjoy the lifestyle in Perth. I still like what I have here in Perth, and I'm hoping to stay. Got a few different questions about travel dancing. This is a big brownie. Okay, what's your favorite club that you've recently tried as a traveling dancer, and why? So I haven't really tried anything new recently. The last time I travel danced was in New Zealand, and you just need to watch the vlogs. Yeah, that was not my those clubs were not my vibe. To be honest, there's not a lot of clubs that I really like in Australia. I'm just gonna be honest, but I have like my standards are quite high. Actually, I don't think I have high standards. I feel like I have reasonable standards, but I just don't like settling for clubs that are poorly managed, especially when like it costs so much money to work there, and like typically the club will take a cut of your earnings as well, and I'm like, why would I have someone take so much money out of my pocket if they can't even run the venue properly? Yeah, that's why I don't really have a favorite club that I've traveled to, sorry. I guess Spearmint Rhino was kind of recent. That was like mid last year, so I don't know, it depends on what you would call recent, but I suppose, yeah, Spearmint Rhino. What do you see as the biggest pros and cons of travel dancing? So I love travel dancing because I feel like you can always learn something new. You always meet new people. There are so many opportunities, and it's different. It's nice to mix it up. I feel like I definitely would not have been there's no way that I would be in the industry as long as I have been if I'd never traveled, because I would have gotten bored. I would have felt like I wasn't growing, and I wouldn't have had experiences that made me like realize, that just opened my eyes in the industry. So I feel like travel dancing is so important because you see what other people experience, and you can see what you do want and what you don't want by comparison. You learn, like, you meet different customers, you meet different people, you learn new things. It's just such an interesting experience. The only drawback is sometimes it might not be financially as rewarding, but at the end of the day, think about it. If you're going to go somewhere and you're going to learn different things and meet new people and really like develop yourself and develop it, like a sense of grit that you wouldn't have gotten from your home club, you're going to, like, that's an investment, like, and that's going to help you make more money in the long run because you're strengthening your skills. I think like that's something that we forget. We get caught up in not getting the immediate result, and we forget that sometimes things just pay us back long term. Also, it can be a bit tiring, but the job's tiring in itself. How to budget for travel dancing. So the way that I normally do it is like I'll figure out how much money I need to travel, and then I'll just add that onto my goal for the week, like financially, when I'm planning my next trip. Say the trip's gonna cost me like $1,500, like flights, accommodation, everything. I'll like aim for an extra $1,500 on top of what I would normally aim for in the work week. And if I don't make that, then I'll find a way to cut an expense so I can go on that trip without like digging into my savings or my emergency account. This is just like, it's like falling apart. But something to keep in mind as well is always factor in the fact that you might make nothing when you go on a work trip. When you're like working out your budget, be like, I could make nothing this week because I don't know anything about this club, and I'm going to pretend that I'm taking this week off, so I'm going to need to put more money aside to pay my rent and have my bills just in case. And it doesn't matter what this person or that person said about how much like they made in a week at that club or what they made in a night at that club. Like, it all depends on the dancer. It all depends on like the customers. Like, there's no guaranteed amount of money for any venue. Even at the venues where I've made the most money, I've had down weeks, and I've seen girls who aren't making that much money, and it's just because we're suited at different kinds of venues. So always act as though you're not going to make any money when you're going to a new city, because you honestly, like, you don't know. Like, you don't know the customers there, you don't have any regulars, and there's a possibility that you might not even make your travel expenses back. I have a question about worst customer experience, and I'm not going to answer that because I feel like that if you wouldn't ask anyone in like a non-adult entertainment job that question, like, because traumatic things do happen in this industry. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Some people don't always want to answer that question. Favorite way to approach groups, couples, and ladies. Oh, not gonna lie, I've been a bit bad. I haven't really been approaching couples. And I know it's bad. Like, I know we should walk up to everyone in the room, but yeah, I haven't been doing that lately. There has been, I've seen a lot of drama recently, but like with couples in the club, like women assaulting their partners in the venue, and it's not somewhere where I really want to go at the moment. So I haven't really been approaching couples. There have also been like a lot of female patrons coming into clubs lately that haven't really been doing anything, that haven't really been there to spend money. So I've been avoiding ladies as well, and I know that's bad. I know we should be talking to everyone, but I'm just at the point where instead of approaching everyone in the room, I just want to be conserving my energy and saving that for like customers that I know are ideal for me. And I know that might not be the most strategic way to work, especially if you're new to the industry, but I know that I've been in the industry long enough that even though like some customers do surprise us, and don't get me wrong, it is good to walk up to everyone, but my energy gets drained a little more quickly. I like to conserve my energy because I feel like I will wear myself out if I talk to everyone, and I already know my target demographic, so I'm more likely to talk to them anyway. Yeah, I just prefer to like work smarter, not harder. When it comes to groups, I kind of just walk up and make like a blanket. It honestly depends on the group actually. Typically I'll walk up and I make like a blanket statement. Depending on like how busy it is and like what point of the night it is, I'll be like, who wants to come have some fun with me? And then like I'll just kind of see who bites, or they'll do the thing where it's like, that guy, no that guy, no that guy. Otherwise, like if I can tell that there's a guy, like sometimes I can just tell that there's a guy there who will book me, and I'll just like go up to him. But typically like in a group setting, I'll just make a blanket statement and see who responds, and then I'll zone in on them, hone in on them. But yeah. Do you ever do private bookings? No, not really. They're just not my vibe. I like the strip club environment, and safety is a big thing as well. Have you ever thought about getting a boob job? I did once upon a time. This was before like the BBL craze. It was when like I would get rejections based on the size of my boobs, and the stripper ideal was more like skinny, big boobs. These days like the like stripper looks a little different. And like for me, thinking about getting a boob job for me was more like a business consideration rather than like a body one, because I didn't like, although like I mean it would have been nice to be born with bigger boobs, but I'm not going to cry over it. Like I don't really feel the need to change them. Like I'm happy with the size of my boobs now, but at that point in time it was more like a business consideration rather than me like aesthetically wanting bigger boobs. The thought of plastic surgery scares me, so that's something that I'm definitely not going to do, but I have thought about it like maybe 6 years ago. If you were someone's wife, what would you do to keep them entertained? Being me. I don't know if that means like entertained in the bedroom or in general, but I feel like I wouldn't really, I feel like I'm entertaining enough, I hope. I feel like they'd need to worry more about entertaining me. I'm sorry if this is gross. I'm just like scooping up these like, this probably was like the worst idea for like a mukbang. I'm like scooping these crumbs up with my nails. So not classy. And I did get a lot of questions about pole as well. So I'm just gonna sort of talk about my experience with pole, and that will kind of answer all the questions. So I only started learning pole about a year ago. I did learn bits and pieces when I first started, but I never really did anything. I didn't really keep up the practice, and I didn't really use them at work. And then it was only last year that I decided to actually like put effort into pole and start taking classes. And I started doing group classes at the start of last year. I did level 1 and then level 2 at a place in Brisbane. It wasn't really the best learning environment for me, and I don't know, I kind of struggled with some of the pole instructors. Just wasn't like, I just got like weird reactions sometimes when I mentioned that I was a stripper, and I was like, love that. Anyway, I kind of like gave up for a little bit, and then I started getting private lessons here in Perth with the really good pole instructor, Erica. I'll link her details down below, but I really started learning properly. I started actually advancing once I started getting lessons from her, and I think it was maybe June, July that I started getting these lessons. So just over 6 months, I think. Yeah, I found like her teaching, like working with her, just like was so good for me, so good for my my pole development. And like I really recommend her for anyone who is in Perth and wants to get private lessons, because yeah, I was definitely not advancing taking group classes, and it has definitely been 100% worth the investment for me. But because I haven't really been in Perth a whole lot recently, and when I have been in Perth I've been really busy. I haven't booked in a private lesson since December. It has been a little bit, but I will be getting back to it soon. But I'm loving pole. I'm really enjoying everything about it, and I'm really excited for my next private lesson. But you really don't need to learn pole to strip. Like I went 7 years without learning, and like I knew how to climb a pole and like 1 or 2 other things, but like that was it. I didn't even use them. And I feel like I've noticed that the pole culture has changed a lot in strip clubs. It used to be like there would be a few people in the club who were really good at pole, but now it's like most of the club. I've noticed that more girls who are starting the industry they're starting out doing pole, and then they get into the industry, and that's definitely like not the way that it used to be. It used to be like you got into the industry and then like if you wanted to, you would learn pole of it. Like you didn't really have to. And I'm noticing that a lot of people have like come into the industry from learning pole, whether it's like they learnt pole by themselves and then decided to strip, or if they knew that they wanted to strip and then they felt like they had to learn pole, so they started stripping. Regardless, there's been a lot of people who have entered the club like already knowing like pole tricks and knowing their way around a pole, and it's like it's definitely not necessary. I went 7 years doing nothing with a pole. I would walk around it. I would still get tipped, not as much as I do now because I put a lot more effort into my stages, but I would still make money on stage. I would still get bookings from stage, and it really didn't make a difference. Pole was one of those things where like I always told myself like, oh, I could never do that. Like I'm just not flexible. I'm just not this. I'm just not that. And I wanted to like prove to myself that I could do it. And now like I'm really enjoying the process of learning pole and improving and seeing what I can aim for and what I can do next, because it's a very like goal oriented sport. So it's really addictive in that way, because it's like you're always striving for something, and then you achieve it, and then you strive for something else and you achieve it. And it's just like it's a really cool thing to experience. And it's very interesting. Like I've spoken to a few people about this. It's like you used to be able to tell when someone had never like seen a pole before. You used to be able to tell when it was someone's first night, because they wouldn't know their way around the pole. There would be like that awkward phase on stage. And I haven't seen a new dancer move like a baby stripper in ages. It's really bizarre to see. It's just like, it's also like people are taking like stage and like pole a lot more seriously than it needs to be. Like, because yes, performance is part of the job, but most of the job is sales. Most of the job is pretty much being a naked therapist, and stage is only a fraction of that. And I feel like a lot of people take stage very, very seriously. But yeah, pole is definitely not a necessary thing for stripping. It's fun, it's cool, like it's a great like addition. It's a great thing to add to your repertoire, but it's not necessary, I promise you. So that's all the questions I have today, and I've got crumbs of my brownie yet, and I've got brownie all over my nails. But I hope I answered all your questions. It's really good to chat with you again, see you again. I promise I'll be back soon. I promise I'm gonna be more consistent. I just like it was last year was a lot for me. Like it was a big growth year, and I want to say thank you for sticking by me. Thank you for coming back to watch this, and if somehow you're new and this is your first video that you saw about me, I hope my brownie hands didn't weird you. But yeah, I'll be back. I just thought I owed you a bit of a Q&A video, a bit of an update video. I'm doing really well. Staying in Perth, I'm not really working so much in Perth. I'm mostly working in Melbourne. I'm going to be in Darwin in a few weeks, doing like the showgirl circuit up there. So if you're in Darwin, I'm coming for you. Keep track of my Instagram to see like when and where I'm working. I intend on like staying in Perth, but I also have to be more intentional with my travel now, because in October I met someone very special and he works away. So I have to plan my trips when he isn't in Perth. So I can't just like go away like on any random week. I have to be very, very careful about my work trips now. But yeah, I'm still living in Perth. I'm staying in Perth. I'm very happy in Perth. But I think like at this point in time, I want to spend a lot more time like traveling to Melbourne to work, and maybe a bit of Canberra here and there. And if Darwin goes well, maybe I'll spend a bit more time in Darwin. But stay tuned. Make sure you follow my Instagram, High Vibe Hustler, to see where I end up. My life is always changing, so don't hold me to anything that I say. Instagram is the best way to keep up with me. I like to just go with the flow, see what happens, and I feel like life is a lot more magical that way. I'm gonna let you go now. I hope you were able to enjoy a nice brownie. You got to have a sip of something yummy, whether it was kombucha or a sparkling water, or maybe something with an alcohol content, even though I don't drink. I hope you sat down and you chilled out. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a magical day.